Netanyahu assails media as he testifies for first time in his corruption trial. Reuters. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took the witness stand for the first time on Tuesday in his long-running corruption trial, saying he was being hounded for his hawkish security policies. Netanyahu, 75, is Israel's first sitting prime minister to be charged with a crime. He is testifying at the same time Israel is engaged in the war in Gaza and faces a possible new threat posed by regional turmoil, including in Syria. Last week, judges ruled that Netanyahu, indicted in 2019, must testify 3 times a week, forcing a long-time Israeli leader to juggle between the courtroom and the war room at Israel's defense ministry, a minute away from the courthouse. The leader of the right-wing Likud party, Netanyahu, assailed the Israeli media for what he called its leftist stance and accused journalists of having hounded him for years because his policies did not align with the push for the Palestinian state. I have been waiting for 8 years for this moment to tell the truth, Netanyahu told the three-judge court. But I'm also a prime minister. I'm leading the country through the seven-front war. And I think the two can be done in parallel. Prosecutors accused Netanyahu of granting regulatory favors worth around 1.8 billion shekels, around $500 million to Bezek Telecom Israel in return for positive coverage of himself and his wife Sarah on the news website controlled by the company's former chairman. He is also accused of negotiating a deal with the owner of Israel's Yediot Anthorot Aronoth newspaper for better coverage in return for a restoration to slow the growth of a rival paper. Netanyahu denies the allegations against him and has pleaded not guilty. He stood rather than sat in the witness box throughout his morning testimony. Had I wanted good coverage, all I would have had to have done would be to signal toward the two-state solution. Had I moved two steps to the left, I would have been hailed, he said. In lengthy replies, he portrayed himself as the staunch defender of Israel's security, withstanding pressures from international powers and hostile domestic media. Trial in underground courtroom. Netanyahu smiles confidently when he entered the Tel Aviv district court around 10 a.m., 3 a.m. ET. The trial was moved from Jerusalem for undisclosed security reasons and convened in the underground courtroom. Before Netanyahu took the stand, his lawyer Amit Haddad laid out for the judges what the defense maintained their fundamental flaws in the investigation. Prosecutors Haddad said they weren't investigating a crime. They are going after a person. A few dozen protesters gathered outside the courthouse, some of them supporters and others demanding he do more to negotiate the release of some 100 hostages still held by Hamas in Gaza. Israel has been waging war in Gaza against the Palestinian militant group for more than a year, during which Netanyahu had been granted a delay for the start of his court appearances. But last Thursday, judges ruled that he must start testifying, charged with bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. Netanyahu will testify 3 times a week, the court said, despite the Gaza war and possible new threat posed by wider Middle East turmoil. Netanyahu was indicted in 2019 in 3 cases involving gifts from millionaire friends and for allegedly seeking regulatory favors for media tycoons in return for favorable coverage. He denies any wrongdoing. In the run-up to his court date, Netanyahu revives a familiar pre-war rhetoric against law enforcement, describing investigations against him as a witch hunt. He denies the charges and has pleaded not guilty. The real threat to democracy in Israel is not posed by the public's elected representatives, but by some among the law enforcement authorities who refuse to accept voters' choice and are trying to carry out a cope with rabid political investigations that are unacceptable in any democracy, he said in a statement on Thursday. At a Monday night press conference, Netanyahu said he had waited 8 years to be able to tell his story and express the outrage at the way witnesses have been treated during investigations. Divisions among the Israeli public. Before the war, Netanyahu's legal troubles bitterly divided Israeli and shocked Israeli politics through 5 rounds of elections. His government bid last year to curb the powers of the judiciary further polarized the Israelis. The shock Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, and the ensuing Gaza war swept Netanyahu's trial off the public agenda as Israel came together in grief and trauma. But as the war dragged on, political unity crumbled. In recent weeks, while fighting abated on the front after Israel reached the ceasefire with Hamas' Lebanese ally Hezbollah, members of Netanyahu's cabinet, including his justice and police ministers, have clashed with the judiciary. His domestic legal woes were confounded last month when the International Criminal Court ICC issued the arrest warrant for him and his former defense chief Yoav Gallant, along with the Hamas leader, for allegedly war crimes in the Gaza conflict.